Shanghai 6 Front Towards Gamer here with Greg Kasavin, Supergiant Games. How you doing, Greg?
Doing great. Day 4.
Right? Talk about a monkey paw wish. It's like, oh man, 4 days of PAX, this is going to be great. And then day 4, you're like, I don't know. So, 4 days of Transistor, how's it been going?
It's been going really, really well. I really thought today was going to be, like you said, like the low-key day, everyone kind of dead on their feet, but as soon as the show started, this line filled right up again. So people keep coming back and playing it and saying nice things to us, so it seems to be going well.
Have you been getting a lot of comparisons to Bastion where people go, oh, it's going to be bad? Like, I know I felt that way when I saw the demo. I'm like, oh, it's Bastion, but in the future. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, some people do. We do get that feedback, which is pretty cool, where people are like, it looked cool, but I thought it was just going to be like sci-fi Bastion or something. And then I played it, and it felt really different. And we're really happy to hear that, because a big part of this game for us was to like just go in a pretty different direction for the moment-to-moment play in an action RPG. Like in a lot of ways, Bastion for us was kind of like, we tried to explore the genre in like a new direction, not because we're trying to make some weird experimental game, but just because, like, hey, we're not gonna make like Diablo. Like we're a 7-person team. We're gonna make a really bad version of Diablo if that's what we try to do. So we had to carve our own path, and we ended up with this weird stuff like the narration and this much more like action-oriented combat in that game's case. And even having finished that game, we're like, oh, there's still so much more that we could do here. We loved the process of like creating this weird fantasy world for that game. So we thought, let's see what we could do in the science fiction genre this time, and let's see if we could take the combat in like a more deliberate, like more tactical kind of direction. A lot of us come from making strategy games actually before we worked on Bastion, so a lot of that is in our blood, I think, and we love classic tactical RPGs and stuff like that. So we wanted to see if we could combine the feel of games like that in with the much more action-oriented sort of default play style of an action RPG.
Now, I'm also a turn-based guy, so I figured, all right, this is just going to be another action hack and slash, and then you have the left trigger that activates your, stop time turn-based thing going on, which is great, so you can set up different maneuvers and things like that. It totally changes the game. What is that called?
The ability is just called Turn in this game. As a matter of fact, I like to say it's a turn-based game where you're the only one who gets a turn.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Yeah. It's a very powerful. We found it to be a really powerful feeling ability, because the whole you could play the whole game in real time, similar to something like Bastion, but having gained this really powerful ability early on, it changes the way you go through the encounters, and in turn for us as the designers, it allows us to approach the combat encounters from a really different point of view, and make like really powerful enemies, for example, that like if you try to fight them in real time, you could do it, but they're going to be really tough. They're fast, they hit hard, because at any point you could say, no, time out, yeah. I'm going to get the hell away from you, I'm going to hit you in the back, whatever, all these kinds of things. So we think we've found a way to balance all that in an interesting way. Of course, we put it out here for other people to judge, to see how we're doing.
Absolutely, and it feels great. I certainly enjoyed it, and it's one of those things. It took me a little bit to figure out what was going on, but once you get the hang of it, it's nice to be able to pause everything, run around a guy, set up 3-shot backstabs, and then move away, and it's without anybody. And I like the little zip. It feels really good. It feels really solid. So tell us the story of Red.
Yeah. Well, what I could say so far, we do like to kind of push you in at the deep end with our stories, and that's really like. There's a twofold goal there. Well, like, one is just to get you playing immediately. We don't like to just force a lot of backstory and cinematics and all this stuff onto you. It's just get you into the game as quickly as possible. And then the other side of it is like we like to set up these mysteries that you could then kind of unravel as you play through. But the story so far is that I guess Red is having a very bad evening, as I like to say, and she has just survived an attempt on her life. And gotten away with the weapon that very nearly killed her. So there's some kind of mysterious stuff that's happened, and she is now going through the city as these strange forces are chasing her down, trying to retrieve this weapon at all costs. And she's going in search of the people who did this to her. She doesn't know why they did this or what they would want with her and so on. So that's the basic setup.
Now the Transistor talks, and it's your voice actor Logan. Was there any kind of concern, like, because again, Red is mute at this point in the game; she's not able to talk, and Logan again is doing all your narration. Is there any kind of concern? I mean, obviously not a concern for you guys, but is there any concern that people go, "Oh, it's Logan from Bastion; he's doing the narration thing again"?
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I mean, our goal was to. We wanted to work with everyone we wanted everyone from the Bastion team to work together again on this project, because the creative chemistry we have together is the best thing we've got going for us. Not included Logan. We were interested in doing something with voiceover again because it was it just serves our goals really well. The stuff I mentioned before of just like the immediacy of the play experience, but having a narrative occur kind of at your own pace. At the same time, we wanted to, like, as effective as the Bastion narration technique was for us, we didn't want to just do the same thing. So from our point of view, it's actually like a rather different narrative mode where it's two characters kind of in the world, and the speaking character is experiencing the events as they happen, as opposed to being kind of this omniscient narrator. And the character himself is very different. He's almost an opposite in some ways, where Rux, the narrator of Bastion, is this kind of grandiose, mysterious storyteller guy. He's very kind of, although he sounds like he's a straight shooter, he's kind of a very coy and guarded guy. He never tells you anything straight, and he holds a lot of information back. Whereas the voice coming from the Transistor is a guy who kind of wears his heart on his sleeve. He cares an awful lot for Red. We hope that people can sense that very early on. So we wanted to tell almost like this kind of like adventure story of these two characters traveling together who need each other to survive.
And this is coming out sometime next year for PS4 and Steam, correct?
That's right. Transistor is coming to PS4 and PC early next year sometime.
PC, not Steam, just...
No, it'll be on Steam.
Okay, I figured as much.
Yeah, we love it.